Spencer Riley is available now, so we want to bring him up as there's the man coming off a big win for Jeff County. How are you, sir?
Good, man. Good. It's just a crazy Monday here, so we're just trying to get after it and get everything ready to rock and roll. So just know if I have to drop off real quick, just understand I apologize, and I'll try to rejoin as soon as I can, okay?
I understand, buddy. You look like you lost some weight. Have you been trimming?
I have. I'm going to try to be less fat, man, so it's a good day. So.
You go. All right, let's get rolling because Tennessee has not named a starter at the left guard position. You played center. You won a national championship playing center. And I'm just curious how big of a concern, because we believe that they're going to come out with the bracket. You know, there's going to be 2 starters, co-starters. Sure. How big of a concern is that heading into game week, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, with our opening game being UTC, I don't think it's really that big a concern. I mean, because the whoever the 2 guys are that's fighting for that spot, they got a chance to prove themselves during game reps, and they've had a chance to all preseason camp and camp up to this point. And, you know, this will be the chance to have some real live bullets in Neyland Stadium and see how they perform and produce. It's kind of part of how you as you look at game 1 there. It's how I would look at it as Coach Eberle, I'm sure, is with week 1.
Caleb, I want you to jump in there, but does it affect as a center who your left guard is? Do you play any different given their strengths and weaknesses when you're at Cooper Mays' position?
Sure, I get what you're asking there. You know, I mean, you just got to know who you're playing beside, right? And you've had enough time that I'm sure they have rotated throughout camp and rotated throughout preseason practice. And this week, that they know Cooper knows who's beside him. He knows what their strengths are. He knows what their weaknesses are. And you know, I mean, as a center, you got to know that. You got to know who you're playing beside, anyways. It doesn't matter if it's game 1 or game 10. So you got to figure that out as you go. I don't think it's a big deal, but
Spencer, go ahead. Go.
Yeah, so I know you don't think it's a big deal. I know you think things can be figured out, but I mean, isn't it a concern if throughout all of fall camp no one was ever able to? Is it one? I know it's one thing if you have 2 good players and you can't figure out who's better, but isn't it there always a concern if in fall camp nobody's able to step forward and be able to prove that they can take the job? Like if they can't do it in August, are we sure on the practice field? Are we sure they're going to be able to do it as games roll in over the course of the season?
I mean, I'll just be honest with you. As a coach, I would sit here and say, hey, look, I'm going to see which one can do, which one can't do. You know what I mean? You gotta give us somebody. You gotta give them an opportunity to be successful or to fail on game day. You know what I mean? That's where you learn. That's where really when at the end of the day, that's where the live bullets come flying. That's when the game speed's different. You know what I mean? That's where you got to try to figure it out and go from there and just get after it. I mean, I'll sit here and be honest with you. I could go into week 1, year in and year out, and not know who one is, and it doesn't bother me because I've got, as an offensive line coach, you feel like you got ever how many you have to play. You know, I mean, I feel like I got 7 guys that can play. Played 6 Friday night. So I mean, you know, I mean, I don't. That's not a big concern for me as a coach. You know what I mean? It's just something that we got to have more than 5. So, you know what I mean, you're trying to figure out which is the best piece to put in at that point in time.
If you have a question for Spencer, go ahead and post it on the message board or on Twitter, and we'll get that to him. But I'm going to stick on this for a second. And Spencer, what about the whole notion of chemistry? Is there something to that, or is that overblown a little bit?
No, I think there is something to that, right? You know, you got to find out which pieces have the best chemistry. And, you know what I mean, sometimes the guy who has the best chemistry with everybody around them may not be the most talented guy. You know what I mean? I wasn't the most talented guy, but I had the most chemistry with everybody else. You know what I mean? And it's kind of you try to, and the old saying is don't try to fit a square peg in a round hole. You know what I mean? You got to figure out what's best for your group of 5, not the individuals. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, offensive line is 5 guys working as one, where you got 4 receivers or 3 receivers out there, and they don't have to really work as one. One can be wrong and nobody ever knows. But in an offensive line, if you're wrong, everybody knows. There's 107,000 people know that you screwed up. But they don't know that when receivers do. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. He's Spencer Riley. Hit the like and subscribe button. Spencer, nice enough to join us, former Vol, each and every Monday during football season. He's coming off a big win. Caleb, I know you want to jump in there. Go right ahead, sir.
Yeah, Spencer. So in Josh Heupel's offense in particular, everybody sees how fast it runs and things like that. But it does seem like there's a lot of, to me, am I crazy for thinking the interior of the offensive line is the most underrated, important part of this offense? Because a lot of what sets up the big plays are those vertical rushing attacks. He doesn't do a lot of stretch plays. Does a lot of just north-south. And how crucial does that make the guard position relative to other?
Well, you got to be able to move people interiorly, right? Tackles, they're guys that, hey, you need to be a physical guy, but the middle three guys got to be road graders. And they got to be able to pound it and be able to take the beating day in and day out. And I think those are very important keys because, I mean, in Tennessee's offense, it's downhill runs, right? Where we are big edge, we're a big outside zone team. Tennessee's big a dart and inside zone run team. You know what I mean? So that's where they hit their vertical creases is right there in the middle of the offensive line and in the center part of the defense. You know what I mean? Because Tennessee does so much in their passing game. They play with 53 1/3 football field. That's what they play with. Every time they step out there, they make you defend 53 1/3. So, you know what I mean? So you gotta do different things with your numbers and your box as a defense, try to get the numbers matched up on for them defensively, but for offensively, we're looking for the best option at that particular time. You know what I mean? So we got to be good in the middle for sure because our tall sweeps are little bubbles. You know what I mean? Screenplays. That's how we get the ball on the edge at Tennessee.
How many times did you go into a season knowing who your starting five would be during your time at Tennessee? Just absolutely no question. These are the five.
Probably 2 or 3, maybe. You know what I mean? So, well, probably 2 would be, I would say 2. I don't remember the years. I'm just trying to scan back through. We returned in '97. I think most of the, you know what I mean, that would have been the year that we returned a bunch of guys, and you knew who the 5 were going to be.
Now, let me ask you this. Is there any chance that Josh Heupel knows in the back of his head who the first teamer is, and he's keeping everybody like Shamarad Umarov and Jackson Lampley fighting for that position that I think Andre Keurig is going to have?
Of course. You know what I mean? I think coaches know who they're going to play. You know what I mean? You try to keep competing because competition breeds success at the end of the day. And, you know, when you want to keep fighting, you want to keep getting those guys improved and day in and day out.